Welcome back everyone, how are y'all doing today? I'm Accel, the main writer and card maker for the game Thera, and today we at the Thera channel are bringing to you our third song overview for Booster Set 1, The Gathering of the Nations, and it's a special one at that because it's the strongest song from the nation of Arezon. This song takes the reactive powers of Gamble that was introduced in this set, and the offensive capabilities and draw power of dragons which were strengthened in this set, and combines them together. When the flaming gambler Precila and her fellow gamblers combine their lucky powers with the ferocious dragons and Crimson Dragon Revon, they're a force to be reckoned with, but I'll just take our word for it. Let's jump right in, get started, and see what we have here. Firstly, since it's still new, to give a quick explanation of how Gamble works, you send the top card of your opponent's song to the drop zone when a Gamble ability activates, and activate the ability if the Gamble is successful, aka the card sent is one of the types listed on the card using Gamble. If the sent card is neither of the mentioned types, then the Gamble is considered failed and may have some detrimental effects. We'll have examples of cards with the Gamble effect later, but as a quick explanation, we'll leave it there and pick it up with our creatures. And what better way to start off the creatures than one with the Gamble ability? Let's cover one of our draw engines for our first level 1, Hotguesser. She's a level 1 human with 100 power who allows you to gamble for a spell or trap when she's summoned by paying 1. If her gamble ends up being successful, you get to draw a card. Just by summoning her, you can increase your hand and possibly remove important cards from the top of your opponent's song all in one fell swoop, while also slowly flooding the field with creatures. She has a cheap pay cost for her skill, so she can combo well with other cards in the song and helps balance the offensive and defensive sides of the song's capabilities. For Hotguesser, it's clear to see why she's a welcome 3 of. Next up, we have our partner in crime, Lucky Lassie. She's an amazing level 1 human with 100 power whose gamble can send opposing creatures back to the hand if you pay 1 and see either a spell or trap when she's summoned. She can fluctuate the board presence in a single move by sending a powerful opposing creature back to the hand, such as their own Crimson Dragon Revon or Wizard of the Dark Arts Tiresias, just by entering the field. This slows down your opponent's momentum as they have to waste a turn resummoning a high level creature while also accelerating your own, meaning you can leave your opponent vulnerable to direct attacks or take the chance to increase your hand card safely. Although missing her skill is a risk worth considering, her ability to remove walls or strong enemy creatures makes her an incredible tool in the song, an easy 3 of for us. Our last level 1s we'll cover at the same time since they both share the same skill, Defensive Gambler and Young Guard Dracokid. Both these creatures are level 1s with 50 power, are human and dragon respectively, and both share the Safeguard skill, meaning they can be discarded from the hand when your opponent attacks in order to nullify the attack. Since this song is a mix of both dragons and Gamble, we thought it'd be nice to put both safeguards in, but by all means if you like one over the other, then put in that one. Either way though, with the ability to nullify any attack regardless of power in a song that likes to balance the offense and defense, having 4 safeguards is a necessity. So we run both of them at 2 copies since the max amount of total safeguard still remains 4. That's it for our level 1s. You can see the Gamble half primarily takes over here since they ultimately have more impact on board presence and can either open up the game with an early rush or close it out with an ending rush. Now as for level 2s, we only have 1 in here, and as the builder of this song was our very own Oolong, the main test player, I'm pretty sure all of you can guess who that one level 2 is. The almighty Hammer Dragon. Hammer Dragon is a level 2 dragon from the Arezon trial song with a base power of 150, making him stronger than most other level 2s coupled with 2 very strong abilities. For the first, Hammer Dragon gains an extra 50 power for the turn for every 1 you pay. This ability isn't once per turn either, which means you can continue to use it over and over again as long as you have pay. For example, if you have 4 pay and use 3 of them on Hammer Dragon's effect, he'll gain 150 power for a total of 300 power for the turn, making him stronger than even the joint strongest creatures in the game, Ruinmaker Droid and Michael, Heaven's Advent. And even after all that, you'll still have 1 pay left over to use for a gift check. His second ability is the main reason he's here, and the main reason he's Oolong's ace creature, which allows you to draw 1 card whenever his attack either destroys an opponent's creature in battle or deals damage to your opponent directly. It's an amazing effect as it gives pressure to Hammer Dragon's attack since you get to draw 1 card every time he hits, consistently putting said pressure on your opponent as long as Hammer Dragon stays around. And thanks to his 150 base power, he won't be going down easily, especially if you use all your extra cards to guard him. While in the later stage of the game, the draw pressure can become your downfall as it lurks you closer to song out, we think it's worth the risk as he can increase his own power far beyond that of even the strongest level 3s, apply draw pressure for his attack, and has one of the highest base powers for level 2s, making him a solid 4 of in this song for a good reason. Next, it's our level 3s, and if you've been paying attention then you already know which ones we're running. Since I'm the one doing the song profile, that means I get to pick which goes first, so I'll biasly save the best for last, meaning the next creature we cover will be the Flaming Gambler Precila. She's a level 3 human with a gift icon, 200 power, and the ace of a normal Gamble song. Obviously Obviously she has the Gamble ability, but hers differs from the rest as her effect actually changes depending on what card is sent to the drop zone, meaning her Gamble only fails if your opponent loses triggers, but at the same time, they lose a trigger, so it's not all bad. Like Revon, she has 200 power and one ability which separates into 4 sub-abilities depending on her Gamble. For Precila's Gamble, like the other two, you pay 1 when she enters the field in order to trigger it, and again, depending on what card is sent, 1 of 4 abilities activate. If a creature is sent, you draw 2 cards. If a spell is sent, your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. If a trap is sent, your opponent takes 2 damage, and if a rune is sent, you heal 2 of your own damage. For just 1 pay when she enters the field, so many different effects can activate. She can increase your hand or heal your damage and give you the advantage, or put your opponent on the back foot by making them discard cards or take damage. Even though she technically only has 1 ability, it's a strong one as it can swing the game in your favor in an instant, seeing as the only type of card you need to fear for her Gamble is triggers. Let's not forget her 200 base power, meaning even after she's placed, she can be used both as a wall and a beat stick in the early game that's only getting stopped by other level 3s. All in all, Precila makes for a very useful ace creature who can swing a game's tide in one go and can even provide a defensive structure to stall on if needed, making her a 3-0 for us. On to our last creature, and of course we can't have the Ace of Gamble without having the Ace of Dragons, so everyone please give a warm welcome to the mighty and powerful dragon that reigned as the ace of the trial song Crimson Flames. It's a level 3 dragon, Crimson Dragon Revon. Hammer Dragon is here for his draw power, and Precila has varying effects depending on the situation, so you might ask, what does Revon bring to the table? Well, Revon actually brings plenty to the table even though he only has 1 ability. For one, like Precila, thanks to his 200 base power, he can act as a wall and a regular beater, meaning aggro songs can't break past him without a fight. Trust me, I know. I tried and had to play around him. However, unlike Precila, other level 3s can't stop him so easily. To explain, let's quickly go over his skill. With Revon's ability, by paying 2 and discarding any card from your hand, you can reveal another creature from your hand and add its power to Revon until the end of the turn. Although discarding a card from your hand in some situations is less than ideal, you do have to acknowledge Revon can gain a vast amount of power in only 1 usage for his ability. For example, if you pay the cost and reveal Hammer Dragon for his ability, Revon will have a total of 350 power for the turn, meaning for even the strongest creatures a shield value of at least 100 is still needed. If you reveal another Revon or Precila, then his power jumps to 400 instead, and nothing less of a heal trigger or safeguard will stop his attack on his own. One more little note about Revon, if you hit 8 damage, have at least 4 other cards in your hand, along with another Revon or Precila, his power can reach 1000, and with a very specific spell we'll soon cover, offensively, he is by a long shot your most dangerous threat. To balance out Precila's copies, we bring Revon in as a nice 3-up as well. Now that we've covered all the creatures, let's move on to the spells. Today we have a total of 4 different spells lined up to show you, so let's get them started with the roar that heralds the winged beast, Dragon's Call. Dragon's Call is a neat one as you can discard any number of cards from your hand in order to search your song for a dragon creature whose level is equal to the amount of cards discarded and added to your hand before shuffling. This spell can definitely get you out of some tough situations as it allows you to turn your bricked cards or ones that aren't useful for the situation into fodder for searching that can become a Crimson Dragon Revon, Hammer Dragon, or maybe even a safeguard if you really need it, giving you the chance to search strong cards that can turn the tables in a song that already has plenty of draw power and comeback ability. It's fair to say Dragon's Call deserves the 2. Next up we have our most aggressive spell by a long shot, Rage of the Dragon. Rage of the Dragon is one of Arezon's strongest spells in terms of offensive pressure as it allows a dragon creature on your field the ability to attack all of your opponent's creatures at once in a single battle by paying 3. In combination with Revon or Hammer Dragon, you can clear wide and powerful boards in a single well-timed strike, and if your opponent wants to guard, they'll have to defend each individual creature, meaning if you attack 5 creatures at once, then your opponent has to guard at least 5 different times in order to keep their field, and since each battle is counted as its own sub-battle, all of them will deal damage to your opponent at the end, and even if there is a creature stronger than yours, the others will still be destroyed and damage will still be dealt even if you lose your attacker. Although costing 3 pay is hefty, its offensive output makes it far more than just merely useful, but to keep the pay count manageable, we like to put this in as a 2-up for our song. Following our 2 dragon spells, of course, has to be our Gamble one, Take a Chance. Similar to how Rage of the Dragon is Arezon's best offensive spell, Take a Chance is Arezon's best consistency spell. By paying just 1, you can gamble on your opponent's next card being a creature or a spell. If the card is either or, you get to draw a card where your opponent has to discard 1, but if the sent card is neither, then you must discard 1 while your opponent draws 1. Although risky, since all your opponent has to do is pull a trap, rune, or trigger, this spell is definitely worth running as it's cheap to use and can get you better cards for the situation at hand, such as Lucky Lassie for board removal or Hammer Dragon for pressure. It also gets rid of one of your opponent's cards too, putting them in a situation where they'll slowly hit 0 hand cards, which means at some point in the match they'll be defensive that they've been trying to hold back your draw gains by countering with whatever they could. That being said, you can see why we have it as a 3-up in this one. Our final spell is another card from the Trial Song, and as one of the best comeback cards in the game, and I'm the one doing the song overview, it's more than obvious that we have Dragon Wings finishing us off. With Dragon Wings, you can discard any card from your hand in order to draw 2 cards. A very simplistic effect that gains benefit while not costing any pay. In fact, it doesn't have a cost in general. Now you may be questioning and getting ready to type in the comments, it doesn't have a cost, don't you have to discard one? And to that, I proudly say, nope! How this card works, as I like to always remind everyone when I get the chance to play it this way, is you don't actually have a cost for this effect, and the discard is a part of its effect, meaning you can play this card while it's the only card in your hand, bypass the discard since it happens before you draw, and then draw 2 cards. It is the living definition of an anime move, as you can go down to 0 hand cards and come back from nothing, like I normally do, or play it the normal way and use it as filtering, like everyone else does. Either way, Dragon Wings makes for a great draw spell thanks to its versatility and the timing you can use it for, so it makes for a solid 3-up for us. That's it for our spells, focusing on drawing more cards to strengthen our offense, which means now it's time for the traps. Oolong had many different options to choose from, but after seeing this card in action plenty of times, his decision was easy when picking which trap to run, which in this case is Flame Shield. Flame Shield is a generic trap and is the only one in this song, but it's the only one we need. This card allows you to nullify the next damage you would take this turn by paying 2 and discarding 1. If you're using up all of your pay on your skills, it may be difficult to maintain the cost for this card, but it's worth keeping around as this card can stop any damage no matter how much it is or when it happens, such as a last minute damage trigger that can decide who wins and who loses. Plus, the discard cost isn't that heavy in the song with plenty of draw power, so I think it's safe to say it's nice to have this card at 4 copies. And this card is one of those that gets a lot better when using the right timing, so keep that in mind when mulliganing with this in your hand or thinking about using it as ditch fodder for, say, Dragon Wings. As that was our only trap, let's go ahead and move on to our runes, both of which combo well together in this song. First on the list we have Strength of Arezon, another Trial Song card. If you've seen the other song profiles, then you know this is a powerful rune with the ability to give an extra 50 power to all of your creatures on the field just by paying a simple 1. Now while extra 50 power doesn't sound like much, the important thing to remember is that like Hammer Dragon's ability, this effect isn't once per turn, meaning as long as you have to pay for it, you can just keep on using it. Since this card essentially acts as the Hammer Dragon that can buff the whole field with the bare minimum resources being spent for it, and is also free to set and keep on the field, and which means you can use the extra copies in your hand since you only need 1 on your board as discard fodder for Dragon Wings, Dragon's Call, or even Flame Shield. It's easy to see why we have this card at 3 copies. For the second rune, to once again mention Oolong as the builder of the song, there is only one other rune we can all agree he would put together with Strength of Arezon, and that is Heart of the Dragon. This rune, like Strength of Arezon, has no maintenance cost or place cost, but wants to have as many copies on the field as possible, meaning it's incredibly easy to splash this card into any song, both in a good way and a bad way. For the good way, that comes from its effect which allows you to draw 1 card every time your creature with at least 300 power attacks. As we discussed with Hammer Dragon, drawing even just a single card is a powerful effect, especially since it happens on attack and for free so your opponent doesn't have a way to stop it, and this effect stacks so if you have multiple Heart of the Dragons on the board, then you can draw more cards when this effect is triggered. Not to mention the fact you can use cards like Strength of Arezon to end up increasing the power of all creatures on your board and have multiple on-attack draw skills. But remember, the more cards you draw, the closer you get to songing out. And since it has no cost either to place or use, you have to keep in mind, once it hits the field, it stays there. Meaning at some point it could work against you and force your creatures to stay under 300 power, so you avoid songing out. With that in mind, I do think 3 copies is appropriate, as in the early game it can help you gain hand cards, and in the mid game most likely puts you with the hand advantage. Just be careful and don't be like Oolong and play them all at once. It will come back to bite you if you don't end the match quickly. And with all the other cards out of the way, it's finally trigger time. To reference the song builder Oolong one more time, we all know that he loves to have hand cards, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that his song has 6 draw triggers in it. The 100 base shield value they have helps keep rush songs at bay, but also allows you to fill up the hand whenever they're gift checked or damage checked. They're a nice addition to the song since there isn't a restriction on the amount of draw triggers you can run, and giving the ability to draw a card is very nice, so we've got 6 of them tucked away somewhere in here. Finally, we have our heal triggers. With their shield value of 150, they are almost guaranteed to stop plenty of aces in their tracks if they attack one of your creatures. Following that, when they're gift checked or damage checked, they can let you, as the name implies, heal a card in your damage zone as long as it's not the newly acquired heal trigger. This makes them both helpful defensively when you draw them, but also great recovery options when they appear in your gift or damage checks. Sadly, they at most can only be ran at 5 copies, so with our draw triggers taking the majority here, our heal triggers come in at 4 copies. And that's it for this overview video covering our Set 1 Arezon song, Scorched Skies. As you got to see during the video, this song takes equal inspiration from both the Gamble and Dragon halves. Some cards draw and remove creatures from the opponent's field, while others beat past defensive cards with overwhelming power. This song can have different strengths ultimately depending on who uses it, so we suggest trying it out to see if it's a fit for you, since it can give you a taste of both Gamble and Dragon's playstyle. If you would like to have some suggestions on what you could possibly change, you can add in damage triggers in place of some heal triggers to add for some extra offensive power, and maybe even consider running Crimson Armor just to act as a counter card to defend Revon, and also 4 copies of Young Guard Dracokid. We only did the 2/2 safeguard thing for aesthetic. Please be smarter than us. Without further ado though, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Once again, I'm Accel, the main writer and card maker for the game Thera, and both I and the rest of the Thera team hope you enjoyed this video. See you all in the next one. Bye!